Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. So today I want to jump up here and do a 2020 from our second place finish there on the Roanoke River. And so I'm going to talk about the baits that I used to do well in that tournament, along with the game plan that I had going into it. Alright, so going into the tournament, my original game plan was not to fish in the Roanoke. It was originally to run out into the Chowan. Well, I know you could probably hear it in the video. We had extremely high winds. Sustained winds, probably between 20 to 25, and then gusts between 40 and 50. And if you know anything about Eastern North Carolina, the Albemarle Sound can get extremely rough extremely quickly. It can get rough out there even on a 10 to 15 mile an hour wind. Start getting up there to 20, 25, you're just in a different ballpark. And so our tournament director made the right call, made the sound off limits. So I knew going into it by about Wednesday that the sound, you know, going to the Chowan or somewhere out in the Albemarle was going to be a no-go. And so at that point, I kind of made up my game plan that I was just going to go into a creek and just fish all day. And that's exactly what I did. I had a creek in mind. That's the creek that I went to. And I caught all of my fish really on three main baits that I want to talk about. You did see the one fish that I caught on a frog, but that was the only fish that I caught. And that was just a black pop and pad crasher from Booyah. The main player, though, was a prop bait. This particular prop bait right here is this is a Rapala prop bait. But I have a lot of prop baits that I use. I use a Mangalure, I use a spin rocket, I use a Boy Howdy. This is one I've just been experimenting with. And the prop bait was a major player early in the morning. I was able to catch a keeper right off the bat really quickly, kind of calm my nerves. And the prop bait is actually what produced our biggest fish. And, you know, almost 6-pound fish came on that prop bait. Now, for my prop baits, what I do is I like a fairly limber rod. And then what I run is I run a 40-pound braid to a heavy leader. The lightest I go is 25. I'm either using 25-pound fluoro or 30-pound Berkeley big game. Now, something I've learned with the prop bait is a fluorocarbon leader, a short one, this is about a foot, works better than a mono. And I think what actually happens is that fluoro actually sinks a little bit and actually causes that prop bait to want to nose down, which gives you a really nice gurgle effect. And so that is and was the main player early in the morning. And I was able to put 3 keepers in the boat really quickly on top water between the prop bait and the frog. And guys, then that top water bite died. I mean, it literally died. I kept trying to make it work for about an hour and a half, and could never get another keeper in the boat. So I came back to the area that I caught my keepers at really early, and I picked up a spinning rod with a Neko rig on it, and I was alternating between 2 different baits really. I was alternating between a trick worm and a Z-Man finesse worm. Neko rigged, really lightweight in the front, and then a hook. And it was really difficult to fish that bait because of the wind. The wind made fishing that Neko rig extremely difficult. Now for my Neko rig, I use a 16-pound X plasma braid to either a 10 or 12-pound fluorocarbon leader, 6'9", medium light, and I was using a Revo X size 30 spinning reel for that setup. Now the main player though was the old Mag Draft. The old Mag Draft was a major player, and I actually had to alternate rods in the tournament because the original rod that I was throwing was just way too limber for the Mag Draft, and ended up going to one of my flipping sticks because I had left my actual swim bait rod here at the house. And so what I was actually throwing mine on was 20-pound fluoro. Usually I like to go a little heavier than that, 25. This particular here, this is 30-pound 30-pound big game, big swim bait rod to throw my swim baits. And so the Mag Draft was definitely the bait that I did the majority of my damage on, culled almost all of my fish out except for the big one on that Mag Draft. But those were the three baits that I relied very heavy on. I did catch one on a chatterbait, but that fish really didn't help me. So between the prop bait, the Mag Draft, and the wacky or Neko rigged trick worm, I was able to put a limit in the boat. And when I needed a limit, the trick worm is what came in clutch, just to give me some ease, because it's a lot easier, I have found, to fish with a limit in the boat than without a limit in the boat. And so ended up finishing second place, had just over 16 pounds, and all of my fish came on those three baits: the prop bait, the Neko rig, and the Mag Draft. So looking back and kind of thinking about what I would do different, at about 1 o'clock I had the 16 pounds. And I actually cut this part out of the video. I had a major conversation with myself on camera. And I was really trying to decide, do I stay where I was at, keep throwing the Mag Draft, keep culling up by ounces here and there, or kind of go for broke and go somewhere else and try to catch a big one? And what I ended up doing is I ended up staying where I was at too long. By the time I finally got out of that particular creek, got out on the main river, I caught one really quick on the main river on a chatterbait. And at that point, my time was kind of up. I only had about 15, 20 minutes left to fish. Kind of just fished right there by the boat ramp. Hindsight's 20/20, but if I could go back, kind of do it again, I think what I would have done is at 1 o'clock, I would either have gone to a different creek and fished with that Mag Draft and just kind of locked that in my hand and just kind of, tried to make it work. Or I would have got out there on that main river and thrown a spinnerbait and a chatterbait in that muddier water and try to catch a 3 to 5 pound fish and run across one. But again, I say hindsight's kind of 20/20. You kind of wrestle with the idea of, what you would do different. Obviously I was catching them very well, throwing the Mag Draft. So I really kind of didn't want to leave fish that were biting to go find fish. But those are tournament time decisions that, it easily could have worked out. Obviously it did not work out in my favor on that particular outing. But in times past it has. So, but anyway, guys, that is the recap from my ABA tournament. There on the Roanoke. This upcoming Saturday, we have my second tournament, their third stop. We're on the Roanoke River. So we're going to go see what we can do. And hopefully do very well. We shall see. Only time will tell. And ultimately the scales will decide. So anyway, guys, thanks for tuning into the video. Hope you've enjoyed the recap. If you have, make sure you hit that like button and that subscribe button down below. You can find a link to all of these baits down in the description below. I'll have a detailed description of exactly what I was throwing. I'll try to put as much as I can in there. A lot of my equipment now is getting a little bit older, and so it's discontinued, but a lot of the baits and stuff you can still find. So I'll make sure I link that down below so you can go check it out if you want to. So anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys here later on the channel.